Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Abshai, Bashem Makakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered among the heathen nations around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And I'm going to be reading the book of Obadiah, giving some precepts, because that's the end game. No matter what we have to go through, we've already got the victory. Esau is going to lose. It's already written. So I'm going to read his end. All right. But, right now we're in the midst of this lockdown. And just like everything else, none of the facts are adding up. The T's are not crossed. The I's are not dotted. But yet they want you to accept what they're telling you, even though it does not make sense. They're bringing on doctors and professionals, saying, this, that, and the other about this virus. You got people across Europe and Asia that are tearing down these towers. I've seen the videos of the towers and what they do to all the wildlife and nature and the animals around it. The craziest one is the tree that's half dead on one side, and that's dead on one side and alive on the other. And the side that's dead that is next to the tower. There's literally, the bark is even falling off the tree. It looks like a cancer patient who's lost all his hair. And the other side of the tree is vibrant with life. The side that's faced away from the tower. And then you have the doctor the professional who worked with this technology when it first came out and left the company of Vodafone once he understood it, gave you the breakdown of what it actually does to the body. And now that viral and information, that video went viral and other videos like it with the same information. All of a sudden there's a counter information battle coming out in the mainstream media. And remember, whatever the mainstream media pumps in your face over and over and over again is because they don't want you to look at something else. And the truth doesn't need laws to put in place to force people to believe it. All right? You don't need regulations and things of that nature put in place for the truth. The truth is simply the truth, and it stands on its own. That kind of makes me think of how it is in Germany and certain other countries in Europe where you can't talk about the Holocaust. All right? You don't have to say anything derogative or negative about any particular group of people. You can just start questioning the facts and different numbers and things of that nature because they don't add up. But yet, it's illegal to speak against it. So once again, the truth does not need laws put in place to defend it. Only lies. So without any further ado, the book of the prophet Obadiah. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise and let us rise up against her in battle. All right? And that ambassador, that prophecy came true. When that ambassador that was sent among Edom, or spoke out against Edom publicly, was the president of Egypt in 1951, Abdul Gabal Nasser. And basically what he said was that you left here black and came back white. No, he said that we can never accept you in this land, for you left here black and came back white. Who are you people? Right? And the relics and the history and the scriptures support that statement. that he made. But yet, on a lot of platforms, you're not allowed to speak out against that. Just thought I'd add that in there. Verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. It's hard to forget the famous speech that the president of the former president, who's now passed away, Hugo Chavez of Venezuela, when he gave his famous speech at the UN, and he spoke in Spanish when he said the smell of sulfur is still in the air, but the devil has just left the room. You know, and he was talking about Bush, and you know, and how the Edomites got up and walked out because they were offended. No, he was telling the truth. And basically he said everything that bad has happened in history and to mankind has been at the hands of people with blonde hair and blue eyes. And unfortunately for them, there's a lot of truth in that statement. It really is. Verse 3. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Because there, and what thought is that the houses shall go on forever. I'm going to grab that. But, you know, there's only one people that's ever lived in the clefts of the rock, and they still lived up high. As a matter of fact, the skylines of all the great cities across the world, across America and Europe, are basically Esau rebuilding their home. The mountains of Seir. And then their second home was the Caucasus Mountain. But their first home was Mount Seir, which is south of Israel. The relics that are still left behind, with the eagles carved into the buildings that look like state and museum buildings and things of that nature here in America and around the world, wherever Esau dwelled, is evidence of that. And they are being brought to the ground. That pump, let's grab that in Isaiah. This is Isaiah 14:11, and it reads, thy pomp is brought to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and worms cover thee. And see, America, and worms cover things that are dead. And America is practically dead. The worm is decaying. And the arrogant, pompous attitude of the Edomite is disappearing. They're looking pretty bad in a lot of ways, man. And to a lot of people. As a matter of fact, you know, Trump embarrasses his nation almost every time he speaks. Well, so did Bush. Right? But Esau is being made small, man. Let's go to Psalms. Psalms 49:11, and it reads, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, and they have. But their inward thought is that they were going to last forever. And now I believe that many of them are beginning to see that that's not it. And the evidence of that is all the millions of dollars that was spent on prepping. All right. Verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. And you have to think about it, man. And they went into the heavens, in like 1969? And from that point on, America has been on a complete decline. They lost Vietnam, you know. They had never really lost a major war before. The economy, you have the gas crisis. You've had all sorts of collapses and recessions, drugs, you know, transgender stuff, LBGT. I mean, it's just completely deteriorated from the happy days, 1950, super Christian, Merry Christmas society that it used to be. All right. Now everyone's got tattoos on their faces, and you don't want to call a woman, and can't call a man, and it's just a mass of confusion. Let's go back to Isaiah. This is Isaiah 14 and 13, and it reads, "For thou hast said in thy heart, in their minds, I will ascend into the heavens, I will exalt my throne above the stars of power, I will sit upon the mount of the congregations in the side of the north," which is North America. And they did go into the heavens, and they've exalted themselves. They put their faces up to be the Israelites, to be the Christians, to be that which is good, and created false science behind it. Freud, and people like that. There's another guy that came behind him, which I can't think of his name right now. But out of that came what? Eugenics, Margaret Sanger. You know, they tried to marry paganism to the Bible. They tried to, they came up with that science, falsely so-called, is in 1 Timothy 6 and 20. They tried to marry Darwinism, to the Bible. And they tried to make Ham, Shem, and Japhet in the Bible Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid to support their lies. And that's not the case. Because those are all lies. Science falsely so-called. Verse 5. If these came, if robbers by night, how have thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would thou not leave some grapes? Because see, there was a welfare system in Israel, where everyone left a portion of their fields, of their fruit, their land, or even some of their animals for the poor. So everyone, no one ever went hungry. You didn't have people that were just completely had nothing, because the poor actually had something to eat. They had some sort of substance. But with Eve, they want to take everything, man. And at this point, with the enforcement of this vaccination that they want to bring on to combat this man-made thing, because there is a patent for it, but the media won't acknowledge that, but there is. And now they're talking about first they said there is no vaccination, now they're talking about forced vaccinations. And believe me, they had the vaccination. Esau's not going to put out a poison and then not have the antidote for himself. You best believe that. And it says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Well, shoot, Psalm 64 and 8, they're constantly telling on themselves. They put it in books. And now you have the World Wide Web, which eventually they're going to shut it down. Why? Because it does not benefit Esau, Edom, because he is the ruler of this world, this present current world. Is still on his watch. He hasn't fallen from power yet. Job 9 and 24 clearly says the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. The wicked truly control the earth. And all you have to do is look around. How many places like this are left? Probably this is just there's not. You don't see this. You got to go to some foreign place or some island somewhere to see something like this. All right? For the most part. Verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat the bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. And look at how many nations are no longer using the dollar. All right? That's one of the reasons why they had to cover up the crash of the dollar with this plague. And that's exactly what they did, because the dollar crashed. You're in a full-blown recession. And that's why so many people are out of work. All right? So this COVID thing was a perfect cover to distract from the crash of the dollar. All right? And then they already have they caused the situation. They created the situation. They watched the reaction. And then they came with the already prepared answers to fix the situation. So they get they got their digital currency in place. Now all they need now is the 5G towers across all the major cities in America, and around the world to make it work. But people are hip to it, and it's causing a problem. So pretty soon they're just going to come with their sword. Like it says in 2nd Ezra, I think Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, it says, let our might be our justice. So they're just going to use their gift, which was the sword, use their militaries to enforce what they want. Doesn't mean that it's right. They're just going to force you to do it anyway. But the Lord's going to throw a wrench in their plan when they go to do so. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of Mount Esau? And that's clear. Because everything that they do is countered. And not necessarily by the Israelites, by their own people, man. They make moves and you got whistleblowers. And I'm just waiting for the whistleblower to come forth to blow the lid off everything that's going on now. I mean, it already has happened. But to blow the lid off the fact that the media is trying to cover it up. There's somebody, believe me, Psalm 64:8, they can't help it. Just like we couldn't get around the curses, they can't get around that particular thing that's embedded in them to tell on themselves. Someone's going to grow a conscience and start talking and leak some footage, leak some information. Give it, it's going to happen. I guarantee you that they're trying to cover up the 5G thing, and then they're just going to use all these militaries they've set up to enforce it. But let's go to the book of Job, 5th chapter. This is Job 5:12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so their hands cannot perform their enterprise, because the Lord he's gonna throw a monkey wrench in their plan. All right, and pretty soon they're gonna start putting their hands on the Lord's elect. Jacob's trouble has started, man. Israelites are dying left and right now, and those towers. And the funny thing is that in those areas, those neighborhoods where all these people are getting sick, guess what's there? The towers. In those countries where all the people were dropping like flowers, like flies, guess what's there? That's why you got this movement around Europe and in Britain. They're going around tearing down these towers, man. So you're looking at full-blown insurrection, man. What was that dude named Ammon Bundy from the Bundy Ranch? He's speaking out, talking about the Civil War needs to happen now. That you had the video that touched a lot of people when that Jake was forced when they forced the vaccination on the guy, when they brought in all the security guards and the doctors and everything, and they held the man down and gave him a vaccination against his will. You can't see that this is turning into a complete military state, martial law state. It's because you're looking the other way. And you know what? Americans are the kings and queens of looking the other way when it comes to truth, information that doesn't sound good or make them feel good. There's some serious look the other way type people. But this is Jeremiah 49:7. And it reads, concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? And yeah, because they're looking. They used to do these false flag events, and it would take a long time before people figure it out, man. Now, when they do something within a day or two, they're already being exposed. And the worst thing that they do is they show you footage of events, and then they show you false footage. But it's funny though how Americans have very short memory, man. Very short memory. They were showing you footage of the crowded hospitals and the crowded subways and bodies dropping everywhere, and then it turns out that wasn't even in America. That was in Italy, where those towers were like, every 1,000 feet or whatever. That's why those people were dropping like crazy, man. Verse 9. And the mighty men of Teman shall be dismayed to the end. Every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Let's get one more precept, but we're going to stop there. And then we'll continue this at maybe tomorrow or some other time. Let's go to Psalms 76. Yeah, this is Psalm 76. The point is in verse 5, but I'm going to read 5 through 7. The stout-hearted are spoiled. They have slept their sleep, and none of the men of might have found their hands. At thy rebuke, O power of Jacob, both the chariot and horse are cast into the deep sea. Thou, even thou, art feared, and who may stand in thy sight once thou art angry? So, Yahweh is very angry with Jacob and Esau. And Jacob's trouble has began. But what you people have to understand, that Jacob's trouble is trouble for all of you. It's trouble for all of you. And that's why so many Israelites are starting to die now. And that number is going to increase exponentially and very quickly. And it's going to get worse. But don't think that you heathens are going to be getting a break. Just like the information came out that more people died of suicide in Tennessee than the COVID-19. But none of the media is talking about that. So with that, I hope this was edifying. Call hello, Yahweh B'Shem Abishai, B'Shem Wakar Kodash, Wa Abba Babal, Shalom.